Middleweight showdown. We're at the legendary Blue Horizon on a hot Friday night in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Glen Johnson and Omar Sheika. Both guys would love a world championship, and they've traveled different paths. Glen "Coffee" Johnson left his native Jamaica and came to the United States in 1984 in search of a world championship. The 31-year-old, now living in Florida, is 36-6 with 25 knockouts. His career got off to a blistering start, but in his last 10, Johnson has struggled, and there is a reason why. He takes tough competition, very tough competition, and usually on short notice. Well, tonight, Omar Sheika is not a nobody. This talented 23-year-old from Paterson, New Jersey, is 19-1 with 13 knockouts. In fact, his only loss was a controversial loss in London last year. Omar Sheika is a man who really has a lot of power. He has blistering punches. In fact, we saw him against Omar Sheika here on Friday Night Fights in January of 1999, and Sheika took out the hometown favorite in round number 2 with a very impressive display. That is tonight's main event. Glen Johnson is twice challenged for a world title against Sven Otke and Bernard Hopkins. And this is a step up in class for Omar Sheika. His last two opponents, guys like Simon Brown and Kevin Pompey. And tonight he faces a stiff test. We break it down inside Atlas's World.
Omar Sheika is an offensive time bomb that can ignite at any time. He fights in spurts, and those spurts can be lethal to his opponent. Glen "Coffee" Johnson will look to fight at a steady pace and take Sheika into the late rounds. Offensively, Sheika is more explosive, has more power, more speed, and more weapons. But Johnson has been there, done that against the top guys in the division. And they have to use that ring wisdom to avoid the inevitable barrage of punches and punches that he's certain to face. Sheika has a finisher's mentality. When he sees an opponent in trouble, he turns it up a notch. He doesn't discriminate between the head and body. Both areas are his target. But Johnson will try to get inside the wide looping power punches of Sheika with straight short punches. Defensively, Sheika is the weak of the two, and he admits it. Johnson must utilize that advantage. He has the better chin and must test Sheika's. He must be at the top of his game to block Sheika's fury, and he must move his head and punch at the right time. He will look to upset Sheika's timing and bring this fight into the later rounds. The intangibles. Emmanuel Stewart will now be in Sheika's corner. That has to help Omar. Can Glen "Coffee" withstand the early Sheika onslaught and wear Sheika down? Sheika's never been past 8 rounds. Will he worry about 10? Omar had to lose 3 pounds this morning to make weight. Will that weaken him?
Glen "Coffee" Johnson is 31 years of age. Stands 5'11", weighed in at 168 pounds. 36-6 with 25 knockouts. And you take a look at his last 5 opponents. And he was in Italy on April the 15th to take on Silvio Branco, a late sub there. Took Sid Vanderpool on 4 days' notice. Took Sven Otke on short notice. So he is a guy that is willing and able to take anybody on short notice. In that Otke fight, it was a 2-point bout. Omar Sheika, who has never been past 8 rounds, as Kenny mentioned, is 23 years of age from Paterson, New Jersey. 19-1 with 13 knockouts. His only loss in England against Tony Booth in July of '98. Very controversial loss to a club fighter. Take a look at his last 5. We saw him against Omar Sheika and Demetrius Jenkins here on Friday Night Fights. And a well past his prime Simon Brown and a punchy Kevin Pompey are his last 2 opponents. He has a new trainer in his corner, Emmanuel Stewart. Frank Cappuccino is our referee. Kenny, what about when you first take over a guy like Emmanuel Stewart is doing? I guess you got to make changes subtly. You can't try to change everything all in one shot, right?
And how much time did he have? He's only had maybe 3 weeks. You have to be practical. You're exactly right. You don't have enough time. You have to do it subtly. Otherwise, you can confuse the guy. And Emmanuel's experienced enough to understand that. But I like what he said. He wants to pace his guy, slow him down a little.
Round number 1, scheduled for 10. Sheika in the white, Johnson in the black and purple.
Because if there is a flaw in Sheika, he's too spotty. He fights in spots. But you want to make it consistent, especially when you're stepping up in competition like this tonight. You have to be steady, not spotty.
Take a look at the knockout ratio for the two. 65% for Sheika, no knockout losses. Johnson stopped once by Bernard Hopkins.
Every once in a while, Sheika will be a little bit wide with his punches. He has to be careful of that because Johnson's experienced enough and a good enough counterpuncher to throw inside.
Johnson turned pro back in 1993. He was 24 years of age when he turned pro. Been pretty active in his career, except for 1998. He had some managerial problems and problems with his trainer. Hooked up with Sugar Ray Leonard, and he has been getting top-notch bouts. Not winning them, but he's getting a lot of good opportunities under the management and guidance of Sugar Ray Leonard.
And we talked about some of the flaws of Sheika. Let's talk about a little bit of the flaws of Johnson. Movement disturbs him. He needs to be set on his feet. You can box him, and you can out-hustle him. Sometimes he's not busy enough. And that makes for an interesting fight. Because Sheika sometimes is too busy in spots and doesn't spread it out enough throughout the fight. And you can see he's trying to be more steady. He knows he's going to go rounds here tonight. He has to be patient, steady. If he's just throwing in spots, in little spots, what happens is if it doesn't work with an experienced guy like Johnson, all of a sudden Johnson can take advantage of it. A guy like Sheika can panic a little bit. And that's why Emmanuel said what he says he wants a steady amount.
Saw Sheika 0 for 10 his first 10 punches. Bob Canobio, Saul Avilar, and Robbie Canobio controlling CompuBox tonight. Good to see little Robbie here with his Yankee hat on, made the trip down.
Sheika has to be careful with that wide, leading with a wide left hook. The old timers say don't lead with left hooks. Right hand will find you. Johnson is experienced enough to find that right hand inside a leading left hook. Whoever uses the jab more here, Bob's going to have an edge here because nobody is giving each other much else.
Johnson said he saw Sheika against Demetrius Davis. Thought Davis actually won the fight. It was a majority decision for Sheika. Because all he has to do is move and be smart. 88, near 90 degrees inside the blue horizon. And that thermometer is not necessarily under the ring lights. It is warm. Sticky Friday night. Here at the blue, Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas. Omar Sheika, Glen Johnson, underway round number 2. Take a look at the jabs in round number 1. Johnson had 16 connects, 13 were jabs. He was 16 of 50. Sheika just 3 of 20 overall. So a very, very stagnant round for Omar Sheika.
I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a tough fight for Sheika. A real test. He wins this fight, he will have stepped up in my eyes.
Teddy, you know, with the change in trainer, he worked with Al Velasquez, who was like the second father to him, did Sheika. You know, might Omar be thinking a little bit in the ring? In other words, you know, he's working on some new things with Emanuel Stewart, but rather than just having it flow, maybe there's that split second where he's got to think of what he's trying to do, and that creates for some stagnation.
That's always a danger when you switch trainers in midstream.
Johnson letting the hands go, a chopping right.
But like we said earlier, Emanuel's smart enough not to make it too complicated. I think the main thing Emanuel was stressing, he said it to us, is he wants him to be steady, not fight just in spurts. And not leave himself open with wide punches, fighting in spurts.
Sheika was a very good amateur in the United States.
See that slip?
Boxing.
Yeah, he was a good amateur. See that slip in there? That's remnants of when he was with Kevin Rooney, when he started his pro career. Of course, Kevin Rooney, Mike Tyson's trainer when Tyson was Tyson.
And worked with, or has been working with Vinny Pazienza.
As you said, Sheika was a real good amateur, won the Nationals in '96, lost in the Olympic trials that year, was on the alternate team.
They lost to Roshai Wells, who Went on to pick up a bronze in Atlanta.
See, let's look at the advantages and disadvantages. Sheika's the faster guy. He's got quicker hands. But he's taking that away by standing in front of his man, not using that jab. And movement will give Johnson trouble. But if you stand in front of Johnson, his advantage, he's much more experienced than Sheika. And if you stand in front of him, he's going to use that experience. And he's using it now.
Yeah, and you saw when Sheika missed with that wild punch, Johnson tagged him to the ribcage with the left hand. Glen Johnson is a seasoned pro. Omar Sheika is taking a graduate class.
Well, we said it earlier, Johnson needs to be set to punch, but guess what? Sheika's standing in front of him, letting him get set to punch. And that's exactly what Johnson's doing.
Round number 3 underway. Glen Johnson working angles and taking advantage of some Omar Sheika mistakes, and he's been able to score. Johnson has been able to land a right hand as well. Take a look at some punch numbers through 2 rounds. Sheika has landed 12 of 61 total punches. How about this? Johnson has landed 30 of 88 jabs.
We said it early. Whoever uses that jab is going to have a distinct advantage. And that distinct advantage, the experienced man, Johnson. He knows what punch to throw, Bob.
That was a veteran move right there. He threw that nice jab, and then he shot a left hand to the body.
He's what Sheika wants to be and what Emmanuel Stewart wants Sheika to be later. Steady. Calm. Within himself. Very important to be within yourself.
Sheika is currently ranked 8th by the IBF, 5th by the WBC. Charles Brewer and James Butler are 1 and 2 in the IBF. The title is held by Sven Aki. Both men are here tonight.
Johnson just has to be careful that he doesn't give the explosive offensive-minded Sheika moments or spots to all of a sudden explode, catch him sleeping. But it can work both ways. In those spots, if Sheika's wide, Johnson can counter in between too. So it makes for an interesting, intriguing fight. Johnson didn't want to fight inside that time, so what did he do? He tied up Sheika. He wants to have it the way he wants to have it, Johnson. Right now, Johnson is able to just time his jab and carry the rounds just with the jab. He's carrying the rounds just with that left hand. Picking his spots. Sheika's giving him those moments to do it. Sheika's caught in the middle right now, Bob. He doesn't want to open up too much. Maybe what you were talking about, making change in training. Doesn't want to open and be careless, but at the same time, he's not doing enough. He's waiting a little too much.
Here's a good shot. Sheika delivered. Johnson follows it with a double left.
Johnson, the experienced guy, should be taking what's given to him, and that's what he's trying to do. Taking that jab. Sheika's giving it to him.
Third round nearly in the books. A right hand by Johnson. Beneath the lights, Omar Sheika and Glen Johnson embark upon round number 4. This is a 10-round super middleweight bout.
I would expect to see Sheika start using the jab more. Get his feet under him. Emmanuel Stewart, I would think, would tell him, start using that left hand now.
Look at the jab numbers through 3 rounds, Teddy, and we take a look. Compiled by CompuBox. Johnson has doubled up Sheika as far as the amount thrown, and he's landed 40 to 6.
And that has been the main difference in this fight. And that's why I expect Emmanuel to tell him, Sheika, start opening up a little bit more. Use that jab. It's obvious that Sheika has to start moving his hands. It's one thing not wanting to be spotty, like Emmanuel said. He's right. He doesn't want him to fight this.
Whoa! Right hand caught Sheika.
But like I was saying, the other thing is you don't want to just be standing there doing nothing.
And now Johnson goes down. He got tagged coming in.
Sheika was able to time Johnson coming in. Sometimes when you hurt a guy, it can be dangerous because you come in a little reckless. And the guy punches, he can catch you. And Sheika can be explosive, as we said, in spots. Sheika's a good offensive fighter.
Tell you what,
fights in spots, Bob.
Johnson has had a home for that right hand, Teddy.
Well, Sheika is not doing anything. When the jab comes at him, he's just straightening up, he's just staying there. That means the right hand's going to be able to get in.
Johnson just missed, glanced off the chin of Sheika.
See, that time, Sheika moved his head, but the other time, he just went straight back. You go straight back off that jab, the right hand's coming. Like that.
Nice combination from Johnson. Sheika answers. Johnson blocks that combination and scores with a combination.
Johnson knew what his man was going to do. That's a well-bred guy, a well-prepared guy. After Johnson punched, he knew Sheika was going to throw in spots. So he covered up, he waited for it to finish, then he came back.
Best action of the fight here in round 4. Johnson rocked Sheika with a right hand. And then Johnson tried to follow up, and Sheika dropped him with a flash knockdown.
The difference in this fight is going to be who's steadier, who's more consistent.
Some blood from the nose of Sheika. Another right hand by Johnson, and he just missed.
Sheika's standing in front too much, not doing anything, Bob. If you don't do anything, the other guy will.
Break.
Watch for the experienced Johnson now to look to punch inside of one of those wide flurries of Sheika.
Get off him, get off him, get off him. I don't want none of that. I don't need that, man.
Look for Sheika to go to the body. I think he bothered Johnson a little bit at the end of the round with the body punch.
14 of the 19 connects for Sheika in round 4 were power shots. Sheika dropped Johnson with a flash right hand in the 4th. But Johnson did some pretty good things of his own. I don't think you can make that a 10-8 round with the knockdown in there.
Exactly what I was thinking there, partner. I made it 10-9 because of just what you said. In fact, Johnson had hurt Sheika just before, and that's why Johnson got caught. He came in a little careless and got caught with a right hand inside a wide punch by Sheika, who's always explosive.
No, now it's me, now it's me.
Sheika needs certain things to explode his offense. He needs you to be at a certain distance and stand in front of him. Johnson should not give that to him, should not give that landscape to him.
Well, let's listen to Manny Stewart in the corner of Omar Sheika. Their first fight together.
All right, break yourself. Come on, both of you step back.
Right back right away. Keep the pressure on. Get out the hook. There you go. There you go. More. Pick it up.
Let him go, let him go.
Come on. Pick it up. There you go. Right hand behind it. Now get off first. Get off to it first right away.
Well, I think Sheika is getting more confident.
Yeah, he just looked over at me. I guess that's what you're alluding to. And as he had his man tied up, he just kind of winked. Put his fist out a little bit, said, I got everything under control.
And you heard Emmanuel Stewart say, put the pressure on him.
Well, Emmanuel's right. Because Johnson's the kind of guy that will let you out hustle. He will have dead spots, and you must take advantage of those dead spots. There's a disadvantage, as we said to Johnson. His advantage, he's very experienced, he's steady. Disadvantage, he can be out hustled, and he needs to be set to punch.
Good round for Omar Sheika. Tide turning just a bit. Well, if you think it's hot ringside, up in the balcony, it's got to be even hotter. Hot air rises. We're at the Blue Horizon in Philadelphia. Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas. Omar Sheika, Glen Johnson underway in round number 6. Johnson controlled the first 3 rounds. Was having a good round 4. Sheika dropped him with the right hand. And Sheika had a very good round number 5 as he continues to put the pressure on. Take a look at some punch numbers from round number 5. Johnson landed just 4 of 33 jabs in that round.
Sheika just has to be careful that he's not too wide like he was that time with the lead left hook, because Johnson will look to time him with the right hand if Sheika gives him those spots. Just there you saw Johnson just missed. It's good Sheika's stepping it up. He has to do that. But the downside can be that if he steps it up and he gets a little bit wide, he can get caught. He has to keep it tight.
Teddy, you have it 48-47 for Johnson. I agree, 3 rounds to 2.
You're both holding.
You want Sheika to step it up, but with the right punches at the right time. And with an experienced guy like Johnson, don't give him those spots where maybe you're a little wide or you stay there a little too long. Because you can outmaneuver Johnson. You can get off, you can move to the side.
Get him loose, get out.
Get angles on him, because he does need to be set to punch. And Sheika is much faster. Take advantage of that speed. Get off, move a little bit.
Johnson's jab is not as effective as it had been earlier.
Sheika's not letting it be effective. Sheika's moving his hands. He's not standing there waiting for the jab.
Johnson just 2 of 16 with the jab here in the round.
See those spots? That is vintage Sheika. He just has to be careful, Bob, in those spots that Johnson doesn't time something inside there.
But less is coming back from Johnson. Remember the first 3 rounds, Sheika would throw some punches, and Johnson would have nice, crisp combinations.
Johnson's fighting right now, doing enough to lose the round. You're right.
And it's because he's not able to start things off with that jab.
And he's lost 3 fights in a row. Sometimes it becomes acceptable to lose in decent fights. That becomes the temperament. Johnson and his corner has to make sure they don't allow him to do that.
Yeah, you know, against Sven Otke last year in Germany, last November, he was ahead. And Otke had to win the last 2 rounds on 2 of the judges' cards to pull out a narrow decision. Sheika has turned the tide in this fight through 6 rounds. Round number 7 underway between Omar Sheika in the white and Glen Johnson in the black. Johnson slowing down bit by bit here, Teddy. He was controlling the first half of round 4. He got dropped after he had hurt Sheika. And since that point, the power of Sheika is starting to show a little bit.
Well, the problem in the past when there's been problems with Johnson is when he's not busy enough. He could be out busy, out hustle.
Get out. Come on.
I think this is a real important round in this fight to Johnson because of the way it's been going.
Numbers from round 6. Johnson just 8 of 34 as far as jabs connected and thrown.
I believe Johnson now has to have a round here where he decides to step the tide, turn it around a little bit.
Okay, break. Come on, step out. Let him go, Omar. You're holding.
Because obviously he's allowed the momentum, the flow of the fight to go in the direction of Sheika.
There he pumps out his jab, 4 or 5 in a row. Johnson said when he went to Germany to fight Otke, he said, I had to try to knock him out, and I wore out because I knew I could not win a decision. Sheika has some bad memories of going to Europe as well. Here on Friday Night Fights in July of '98 in England, lost to a guy named Tony Booth, who was well below 500. 29-44 fighter. Referee scored at 77-76. On the undercard of the Thompson-Eubank fight, 2 was stymied abroad.
And most people thought that Sheika won that fight.
Yeah, well, we had it on the air here, and I thought he had won it. Close, though.
Very simple here. Johnson is just not punching enough.
Take a look at the punches landed. You see how Sheika has really picked it up over the last 3.5 rounds. Especially the last 3.
And you would have looked for Johnson to be the one coming on, scouting this fight later in the fight, because Sheika had to lose 3 pounds at the weigh-in today. And if he had to lose 3 pounds, how many pounds was he really over? In other words, he was probably losing weight before that. Didn't get it all off.
Okay, step back, fellas, step back.
And if that's the truth, if Sheika did take off all that weight, the only way it's going to affect him if Johnson starts picking it up like he is now.
Sheika walked right into a left hook.
Right,
And Johnson just missed with a right-hand follow-up.
Let him out, let him out.
Johnson can always have those moments where he can throw something inside a punch, because Sheika will give it to him.
My turn.
Because Sheika will throw wide. He will look danger right in the face by throwing something too far.
3 rounds left in this 10-round showdown.
Well, here you're going to see Sheika looking to load up with a right hand, and he gets beat to it with a short, quick left hook. And that's what Johnson can do.
Johnson just missed a follow-up right hand.
Come on.
Sheika digging to the body. I thought Johnson turned the tide a little bit in that last round, Teddy, and steadied the ship a bit.
Well, I thought it was a round that he needed to do that when the round started.
Get back. Come on, let him out.
I think Johnson should be looking to do 2 things. One, punch in between these wide punches. He takes them unarmed. As soon as he feels someone armed, he should fire back.
Go back to the corner of Omar Sheika and Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel, Bob and Teddy, round number 4. Johnson appeared to hurt Omar, but Omar gets a follow-up knockdown, and it seems from that point on he's turned the fight around a little bit.
He seems to be stronger and seems to be, you know, a little bit better condition than Johnson, but he's still fighting a very difficult fight because he's getting hit with right hands and he's not using his jab a lot. He should be controlling Johnson more with his left jab right now.
Emmanuel, it's Teddy here. How you doing?
Fine, Teddy.
Emmanuel, your guy's a faster guy. You got to want him to use that speed by not just standing in front of his man so much.
He's standing in front of him and he's throwing overhand rights, and Johnson, off his experience, instinctively drops underneath the right hands without even thinking. And he needs to shoot a straight right hand more, I think. That was a good one right there. But at least he's winning the fight, and it's a good experience fight.
Emmanuel, are you worried about the fact that Omar had to take weight off this morning, that maybe in the late couple rounds that'll wear on him?
No, I don't think the weight was a big problem. It was basically just water weight. He sweated it off. He just, well, I think, went in the sauna for a couple of minutes. But I think the biggest thing is he's not moving his head enough. And he's throwing overhand rights continually.
All right, Emmanuel, thank you very much. Good action from Johnson.
Well, the problem, like Emmanuel says, with those overhand rights is you can punch inside them. You see them coming. And one other good point, when you're throwing wide punches, like Emmanuel was saying, you're taking your speed away. You're not the faster guy anymore, because by throwing wider punches, you're throwing slow, tight punches.
Teddy, with all due respect to Emmanuel, I don't know if Omar is winning this fight. I mean, you and I have Johnson ahead by giving him round number 7. Sure, Sheika had 3 solid rounds, but Johnson controlled the first 3.
And Johnson's having a real good round here, because he's starting to time Sheika. Time him inside those wide shots. Punch at the right time is what Johnson's doing. See that jab? It was at the right time. Right at the right time. Just as Sheika was starting to walk in, starting to load up a little bit, bop, that jab got off from Johnson. Right down the middle.
So a decent round 7 for Johnson, but a very good round 8 for Glen Johnson after some sluggish middle rounds.
Yeah, right? Well, this looks like a replay from the last round, but it's not. The same thing. Omar Sheika throwing that wide roundhouse right hand and getting beat with the left hook.
Let him go, Glenn. Let him go,
We
Glenn.
talked about it early, Bob. He throws wide punches, Omar, and he can be timed. He's getting timed.
Well, Glen Johnson had pretty good first couple of rounds. Sheika came on in rounds 4, 5, and 6. Round 7 close. And a very good round number 8 for Glen Johnson.
Now you step back.
Take a look at the punch numbers through 8 rounds. And you see that Johnson has been busier and landed more. Sheika had some very good numbers in rounds 4, 5, and 6.
Johnson's blocking those wide shots, maybe letting Sheika spend himself a little bit, and then tying Sheika up like that. Now look to see if Johnson looks to punch inside something.
I tell you, this is uncharted waters for Omar Sheika. First time past 8 rounds. He says he always trains for 12. See, Johnson has been past 8 9 times. But you can say you train for 70 rounds. But the first time you actually do it in live competition with the bullets flying, it is a little different.
There's doubt in your mind, especially if it's a tough fight. And that's why Johnson, the experienced guy who's been there, of course, he's been 10 rounds 5 times, 12 rounds 3 times, Johnson. He should step it up now and give Sheika something to think about.
Wide punches from Sheika, but Johnson did not make Sheika pay.
Lou Duva sitting next to us, one of the great boxing guys, mentioned to me before, he said he thinks Sheika's trying too hard to score a knockout. And you know, that's interesting because in his pre-fight talk, he talked about knocking out Johnson quicker than Hopkins did. And you don't want to set yourself up that way.
Tell you what, Johnson able to get some hooks in and some right hands. Looks like there's a cut on the right eyelid of Sheika. Cut on the right eyelid of Sheika, probably from those left hooks. And Johnson throws a right hand, and so does Sheika.
Looked like Sheika caught Johnson throwing a wide hook and hurt Johnson. Actually, Johnson's glove touched the ring apron. That came close. That could have been scored a knockdown.
Remember, Johnson got knocked down with a flash knockdown in round number 4. Even though Johnson was having a really good round. Remember, accidental foul and go to the scorecards after 4 rounds are complete. If that cut is from a punch, they don't go to the cards. Johnson's a winner.
You have an experienced ref in there, Frank Cappuccino. It's only 1 round left. Here, take that into consideration, believe me. That time, Sheika timed the jab beautifully and beat Johnson.
But is it enough to win the round? Johnson's had some very good moments.
Well, we've been talking about the left hook beating the wide right hand of Sheika, and that may have been the punch that caused the cut over the right eye of Sheika. Because right there, you see Sheika now wipes his eyebrow, looks at the blood.
Well, referee Frank Cappuccino says that cut is from a punch. Final round underway, very close. And Sheika trying to pour it on. Is he going to punch himself out, though? It's been a hard 10 rounds.
And in his mind, he thought the fight was over, the last round.
Yeah, at the end of round number 9, as we're cutting away to commercial, Sheika's climbing the ring ropes here in the neutral corner, raising his fist in triumph.
Don't think that can affect somebody, you guys back home.
Yeah. Don't think that going to 10 rounds isn't a barrier. He had never been past 8. He went right. 1 more round past 8, and he thought it was over.
He was looking for it to be over.
Teddy Atlas's scorecard. You have Johnson by 1, 86-85. I agree with you in all those rounds.
If Johnson starts punching, Sheika's going to have a problem this round, I'm telling you right now. Right now. Because Sheika's very wide, very open this round. If Johnson starts punching, he's going to catch Sheika. Or Sheika's going to catch him.
But the other thing you have to think of too, Teddy, is round number 4 when Johnson got dropped, even though he was having a good round. You and I scored a 10-9 for Sheika. Maybe the judges had a 10-8.
They could have. See, I think it's very tough when Sheika went up on that ring rope, thought it was over. It's very tough when you shut down mentally. You shut the machine down. It's over. Now all of a sudden you got to turn it on again. You got to emotionally say, no, it's not over. And you just said it was over.
Well, that was a headbutt from Johnson. He got away with one.
Johnson is allowing Sheika, I think, in a tough round here where Sheika's struggling a little bit. After thinking the fight was over the last round, Johnson's allowing him to have a little bit of a free ride. Johnson needs to punch.
Well, he has let Sheika out-punch him here in round number 10. Sheika's been busier. He's not landing a lot.
Johnson is catching Sheika coming in. It's just that Johnson's not sitting on a punch. Sheika, as you said, is showing a lot of guts and just throwing leather. But that can be dangerous. And right there, he got nailed coming in. See, the problem is after he gets nailed, he falls on Johnson and he rests. Smothers Johnson.
Which Emmanuel Stewart told him to do a couple of rounds ago.
Yes, he did.
While we were away commercially, he said, lean on him.
And that's what he's doing, and he's taking opportunities away. See, When he leans on him, Johnson can't do any more punching.
All right, Glenn. Stand up, Glenn.
Johnson wants to do more punching.
Hasn't been an artistic round for Sheika, but probably a round in which he's going to win. Just on volume of punches.
See, Johnson should be punching. The opportunities are there. But Sheika falling on him is taking him away. Johnson, that was a little short there.
There's the bell to end the 10th and final round. Final punch numbers, Sheika and Johnson. Of the 153 landed by Sheika, 134 power shots sent Johnson down in round 4. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. Teddy, you had it a draw, 95-95. I agree. Here is our ring announcer, Ed Darian.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the legendary Blue Horizon here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I've got the scoring, and here it is. Judge Ron Greenlee scores it even at 95-95. While Judge Robert Grasso, he scores it 96-93. And Judge Tony Wolf, he has it 96-93. For the winner, by majority decision, Omar Sheika.
What do you think, Teddy?
I had it a draw, but I think that they gave it to Sheika for out hustling in those rounds, for just being a little busier, maybe a little guttier.
Especially late, and they must have had it. You know what? With the 93 number, they must have had a 2-point round for Sheika in round 4 when he dropped Johnson. Even though Johnson had controlled most of that round and it was a flash knockdown, but Omar Sheika, in a step up in class, gets a majority decision win against Glen Johnson.